3 villages, 3 castles, centuries of sightings. Pluckley, Kent. A quiet village by day. By night, footsteps echo along empty lanes. Doors open on their own. Shadows vanish before your eyes. Locals whisper that some houses are avoided after dark. The Tower of London. London. Walls soaked with history. Visitors report Anne Boleyn walking the corridors. Swords clanging in the distance. And cold drafts that make you shiver. Guards swear the spirits are real. Chillingham Castle. Northumberland. Tourists describe shadow figures lurking in corners. Violent cold spots that stop your heart. And an unshakable sense that you are being watched. These aren't stories from one witness, or a single night. Centuries of reports, unrelated visitors, all seeing the same impossible things. This is Britain, haunted. And tonight, we step inside 3 of its most terrifying locations.
Pluckley, Kent. By day, a quiet village of rolling hills and narrow lanes. By night, something entirely different. For centuries, locals and visitors alike have reported strange phenomena that cannot be explained. Footsteps echo along empty streets. Doors open and close on their own. Shadows flit across walls, disappearing before anyone can identify them. The village is small, population barely over 1,000, yet more than a dozen houses are considered haunted. Among the most famous is the George Inn. Patrons have described chairs moving, glasses sliding across tables, and sudden cold spots that seem to follow them. Sleepers in local inns report waking to the sound of whispers or a presence at the foot of the bed. The churchyard, dating back to the 12th century, is also a hotspot for unusual activity. Witnesses recount the sound of a bell tolling, even when no one is near the tower. Shadowy figures appear among the tombstones. Locals warn visitors, do not walk alone after dusk. The stories are not new. They have been documented for hundreds of years, appearing in newspapers, folklore, and first-hand accounts. Researchers and paranormal investigators have logged these events, noting patterns. Activity peaks in old houses and along the lanes connecting the village to the surrounding countryside. Unrelated witnesses report similar phenomena, making it impossible to attribute the sightings to imagination or coincidence. Pluckley has earned a reputation as Britain's most haunted village. And yet, despite centuries of sightings, the village remains inhabited. Life continues during the day. Shops open, people walk the streets, but as darkness falls, even locals avoid certain lanes and houses. And some visitors claim they never return after their first night. The haunting of Pluckley is not isolated. Footsteps, shadows, and whispers are not confined to one village. They appear in castles, towers, and estates across Britain. Patterns emerge. Repeated sightings over centuries, unrelated witnesses describing the same phenomena, and a sense that the past refuses to let go. Walking through Pluckley at night, you can almost feel the weight of history pressing down. Shadows move where no one stands. Whispers rise in empty rooms. Some residents swear the spirits are aware of outsiders, observing quietly until they leave. Others believe the energy is tied to tragedies long past, the echoes of lives cut short or forgotten. This is Britain, where history is not just remembered, it lingers. Where the stone walls of a village or castle do not separate the living from the dead. And if you think this is confined to a small village, you would be mistaken. Because in London, centuries of history carry their own ghosts. In the Tower of London, visitors and guards have seen apparitions, heard footsteps in empty corridors, and glimpsed the unmistakable figure of Anne Boleyn walking silently where she was executed. The phenomena of Pluckley is mirrored here, on a far larger scale, in one of Britain's most famous and historic landmarks. Next, we step inside the Tower of London and its centuries-old hauntings that continue to terrify all who enter.
The Tower of London. London. Walls thick with history, built almost 1,000 years ago. Once a royal palace, a prison, and a place of execution. Its centuries-old stones have witnessed power, betrayal, and death. And for centuries, it has witnessed something else. Ghosts. Among the most frequently reported is the apparition of Anne Boleyn. Executed in 1536, she has been seen walking silently through the corridors, sometimes carrying her head, sometimes simply standing in the shadows. Guards on night duty have reported sudden chills, the feeling of being watched, and footsteps echoing in corridors long after visitors have left. Other spirits are said to roam as well. The White Lady has been glimpsed near the chapel. Medieval prisoners appear along the old prison cells.
Even ravens, believed to protect the kingdom, are said to behave strangely, squawking and flapping toward areas where apparitions are reported. Witnesses include tourists, security staff, and historians. They are unrelated. They visit at different times, yet their reports are consistent. A cold presence, fleeting shadows, footsteps without origin, and the unmistakable feeling of being observed. Researchers note that certain areas see more activity: Tower Green, the Bloody Tower, and the chapel. Sightings are concentrated where executions, imprisonments, and tragic deaths occurred. Some believe the history itself has imprinted on the building, a residual energy that repeats events long past. Visitors who spend the night report waking to doors opening, lights flickering, and distant sounds of struggle. Cameras have sometimes captured anomalies, shapes that vanish the moment a closer look is taken. Even in the middle of London, surrounded by millions, the tower preserves its mysteries. Ghosts here are not legends told for entertainment. They are repeated sightings, decades apart, by people who do not know one another. The Tower of London demonstrates a chilling principle. History leaves traces that refuse to fade. Shadows, apparitions, and whispers are not confined to old villages. They appear in the heart of one of the world's busiest cities. It is not only the places of power that draw spirits. Castles, fortresses, and estates across Britain show the same phenomenon: repeated sightings, consistent descriptions, and a lingering sense of unease. Where walls have absorbed tragedy, the living cannot fully separate themselves from the past. From Pluckley to the Tower of London, the pattern is clear. Unrelated witnesses describe similar events. Shadows appear where no one stands. Cold spots strike without explanation, and the feeling of being watched persists. If history haunts London, it also haunts Northumberland. In Chillingham Castle, centuries-old stone halls and courtyards preserve a darker, more violent energy. Visitors report shadow figures that dart along corridors, cold spots that freeze the breath in your lungs, and a presence that seems to react to those who dare linger too long. Next, we step inside Chillingham Castle, a fortress where fear is not folklore and where the past does not stay buried.
Chillingham Castle, Northumberland. A fortress standing for more than 7 centuries, surrounded by rolling hills and a quiet countryside. By day, it appears serene, almost inviting. By night, it holds a reputation that chills visitors to their core. The castle is home to countless ghost stories. Tourists describe shadow figures darting along stone corridors. Cold spots strike without warning, sometimes so intense they freeze the breath in your lungs. Doors open and slam shut on their own. Windows rattle despite calm winds outside. And some swear they hear whispers echoing from rooms long abandoned. The castle's history is violent. Battles, imprisonments, and executions leave their mark. Lords and ladies who once inhabited the castle are said to roam its halls still. The Grey Lady, one of the most frequently seen spirits, glides silently through the corridors. Guards and guides have reported feeling watched, hearing footsteps where no one is present, and seeing objects move without cause. Investigators and paranormal experts have documented the castle extensively. Cameras capture anomalies. Temperature sensors detect sudden, localized drops. Yet no natural explanation satisfies every occurrence. Visitors describe the same phenomena decades apart, sometimes in the same rooms, sometimes in entirely different wings of the castle. Even those who enter as skeptics often leave uneasy. Some claim they could sense a presence, as though the castle itself is alive, observing and responding. And despite modern lighting, surveillance, and security, the castle preserves its mysteries, untouched by the outside world. Chillingham Castle proves that some places do not forget. The past lingers, the walls remember, and the living must share space with the echoes of history that refuse to fade. The hauntings of Chillingham Castle echo the patterns seen at Pluckley and the Tower of London. Centuries of sightings, unrelated witnesses, shadows, whispers, and unexplained cold spots. Places that should be ordinary by day become impossible to ignore by night. Visitors from across the world have walked these halls. Some report fleeting glimpses of figures in armor or flowing gowns. Some hear chains dragging across stone floors, or a sudden oppressive chill that stops the heart. Even guides with decades of experience admit that certain rooms feel wrong. This is the final stop on our journey through Britain's most haunted places. Pluckley, with its quiet streets and village homes, the Tower of London, steeped in history and royal tragedy, and now Chillingham Castle, where shadows move, cold spots linger, and centuries of violent energy refuse to rest.
All 3 locations share something in common: repeated sightings over generations, documented by unrelated visitors, creating patterns that cannot be dismissed as coincidence. They are reminders that Britain's past is never truly gone. It waits, it observes, and sometimes it steps into the world of the living.
3 locations, 3 centuries of sightings, 3 mysteries that continue to haunt visitors and locals alike. Pluckley, Kent. The footsteps remain. The doors still open. Shadows still vanish in the corners. The Tower of London, London. Apparitions are still reported. Anne Boleyn still walks the halls. Chillingham Castle, Northumberland. Shadow figures and violent cold spots continue to terrify those who dare enter. These aren't isolated stories. They are repeated, documented, witnessed by strangers over generations. Some things cannot be explained. If you think you could spend a night here, would you walk those streets? Would you explore those corridors? Or would you leave before the spirits notice? Subscribe to WhisprFrame for more haunted places, real paranormal accounts, and the mysteries Britain refuses to let go. Because some ghosts aren't just in the past, they are waiting